Hey guys, welcome to the Emergence podcast, a podcast that aims to empower fitness professionals through candid conversations about building sustainable minds, bodies, and businesses. I'm your host, Laura Gunder, ex professional ballet dancer turned classical Pilates instructor based in New York City, sharing my insights from a decades long journey navigating an industry with no set path to success. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hey guys, welcome back to another walk section of Emergence. Thanks so much for tuning in. Last week we had Kat Atienza. She is such an amazing coach. She was a mother and also just such a knowledgeable and caring person. And her kind of approach to holistic movement and motherhood was a really kind of eye opening, kind of introspective episode for me because I am not a mother, but I have a lot of friends who are becoming new mothers, are new mothers, or also just kind of working with different clients who are going through their pregnancies pre and postpartum. I really enjoyed this conversation because we touched on a couple of things that I found to be kind of poignant, regardless if you are going through pregnancy or if you're just kind of learning how to navigate the fitness industry and how to sort of take care of yourself. So, some of the main things that I kind of took away from this episode was Kat's highlighting kind of the importance of building systems and routines, which we talk about all the time here. And something I've been really into recently is, and thinking a lot very deeply about, is AI and technology and how there's like a lot of fear behind technology. And it's a very kind of unknown period of time where we're kind of like on a precipice of a huge major social, cultural, technological, economic, global kind of process of change. And I personally have been sort of trying to reckon with all of this and also think about kind of where the fitness industry stands within that kind of capsule and how we kind of continue to move forward and be the best we can be at our jobs with sort of all this noise happening outside, which is true for any industry or just any human being. Sort of how do we stay kind of constant and steady within this kind of unrest and kind of uncertainty? And something that we talk about a lot and also was talked about is creating kind of systems to sort of ground yourself before your day. And I think when things are so chaotic and there's so much noise, having certain routines that put you back in your body and kind of anchor you within your nervous system. We talked a lot about this in this episode too, is really being able to slow down, take a breath, and kind of notice how your body is feeling in terms of your environment. Like what in your environment is creating stress or tension within your body, and how does that affect how you navigate and move and interact with your clients, your family, with other people just outside in the world? And I think that it's really important that we take a moment to create small systems. They don't have to be big, but giving yourself 5 minutes in the morning to breathe, sit down, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, try to go phone free, which we hear all the time, but I try to do that because I had the habit of just waking up and going with like coffee and no breakfast. And I found that I've been giving myself an hour in the morning, even though I have to get up a bit earlier, but it kind of helps me set myself up for success during the day. So I don't go to the studio feeling like already super stressed out. And it just really does not help me. And that is me personally. And I think something that you have to do is figure out what your body needs and what your nervous system needs and how you feel the most anchored and safe within your body to best tackle what's outside of yourself. And, you know, we have to embrace unpredictability and we can only plan for so much. And Kat talks about that. And when she was, she makes her calendar for the day for her kid. She's constantly communicating with her partner. And it's really important that you put in these like little bits of, you create a system where you can support yourself to the best of your ability, whether that be through breath work, through centering your body, through scheduling in your workouts, through, t- structuring your day in a way that sets you up for success, essentially. And one of the things that she talked about, which is really important that I think sometimes I neglected in the beginning of my teaching career, was taking a moment to think before acting, whether that's reacting to somebody else, a client, whether that's taking a moment before you're, think about your exercise selections. And I feel like sometimes we're always in such a rush and we're in such a society right now and time where everything is we're always rushing and there's this like urgency and like everything is very instantaneous and everything needs to be done immediately. You have to have the right answer immediately. You have to do write back that text message, that email, and it's just a very stressful way to live and kind of be reacting to the external factors. And I'm not saying that there isn't urgency is important, but I think there's a balance to be found, especially when you're working one on one with people, because you can feel other people's energy regardless of, you feel when somebody's stressed. You can see their shoulders up to their ears, you can see their like breath is shallower. And taking a moment to recognize that in yourself and in your client gives you a lot of information about how to best respond and react to the environment. And I think that's such a superpower in a coach and also just being a person is to be able to take a beat and really ground yourself and take a moment to really be thoughtful about how you're reacting to somebody or how you're you know, interacting with somebody. And that gives you sort of the space and the time to really create meaningful connections with people and gives yourself kind of time to breathe and to not feel always like on the edge and super like stressed and always like running for the last minute and the last second and always just feeling like slightly behind your whole day, which is honestly like you're just essentially in survival mode. And I've been there and I have spent years doing that. And my body eventually will give up on me because you just can't survive like that because you're so wired and maybe you're going to have start having trouble sleeping and it's just a ripple effect. So that's just something that I really stress is, you know, really making sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're integrating those systems and really understanding the how you work and how your mind works and how you react to other situations and what different energies, what different kinds of situations trigger different things in you, and how can you kind of create boundaries and barriers to strengthen the exterior from really coming into your interior. And I think when I was younger, I kind of just let everything come in. And I talked about this actually with Katie, my mentor, but I was just saying how, yeah, I am one of the kind of person who's a little more sensitive. And it's a superpower if you're a little bit more sensitive and you're really in tune with other people's emotions and the external world. And you can see and really like absorb people's feelings. And which is great because I think it gives you an ability to really empathize with people and really listen and make people feel seen. But at some point, it's sometimes at the cost of yourself. And I think it's important that you learn to set boundaries and create, it sounds funny, like kind of like a force field within yourself to protect yourself, to make sure that it's not draining your energy and it's not taking away from your ability to be energetic and feel alive and do your job well because you're too concerned about taking care of everybody else and really absorbing all their emotions, which is fine. But at a certain point, your client's your client, and you know, there are boundaries. And I think finding those boundaries for yourself and where the line is takes a lot of trial and error, but it's important to sort of figure out those lines within your coaching practice. Um, Another thing we talked about is joy and kind of making time for having fun in your life. And I know there's a time and a place to have fun, and there's a time and a place to hustle. And I'm not going to pretend like, you know, you can just party all the time and achieve your goals and everything's going to be great and that you can just, have the time of your life all the time. And I know everybody knows that's not true. But I think having small moments of joy within your day and making time for, if you really enjoy listening to music or if you really enjoy dancing a little bit, giving yourself, so walking outside, calling a friend, giving yourself that like 30 minutes to find joy. And even finding joy in your movement practices. If you're feeling kind of stagnant in your own personal practice, I find it really helpful to sort of take the pressure off of it has to be a workout, it's very structured and regimented, into more exploration and more curiosity and kind of have fun moving again. Sometimes when I get in a rut, I'm very disciplined and regimented in my workouts, but sometimes it could be to a detriment. And then it's very militant and it doesn't really leave room for enjoyment. And I love moving. It's where I feel the most myself. It's where I feel the most present. And, it's unfortunate when I start to resent it or I don't feel like doing it because I've just put in so much discipline and structure, and I forget that sometimes moving to move is just enough. So I think if you do get in that rut of not feeling any joy or excitement to work out or explore your movement modality or just to move your body, that taking that pressure off and maybe just exploring an element of whatever workout you're doing, like break it down and just be like, I'm really interested in exploring my back bend and what kind of exercises would I program to enhance my back bend and make it more explorative and make it more kind of like an experiment. And I think you'll be able to find some joy or just like play around. Like you want to do a handstand one day, like just do some handstands, and it doesn't always have to be so serious. um, and that's something I wrestle with, and I'm really probably just talking to myself here, but I am a big proponent for structure and discipline and strategy, but I think it can be detrimental if you're somebody who isn't flexible within that strategy. And there's a fine line between following a plan but leaving space for exploration and innovation. And the more I read about technology and kind of the pros and the cons of it, it really is a tool that's kind of can help us be more, explore more and be more curious. But something I was reading about and also thinking about is like the technology now is really only as strong as your critical thinking skills and your ability to ask it good questions. So that kind of made me think about how we interact with each other, not only with the technology and AI, but how are we interacting with our students? How are we interacting with fellow teachers, our mentors, our coaches? And to really get the most benefit out of anything, regardless if it's an AI bot or another human being, it's the questions you ask, it's the curiosity, it's your critical thinking skills, and that exploration is where I find joy. And I know you guys probably find that joy too because you listen to me blab on. But don't forget that innovation and exploration and curiosity is like why we got into this and kind of what keeps it fresh for us and our clients. And it's really exciting when I talk about it. And, you know, we can say all the bad and good things about where the future is going, but I think we have to be realistic too. And we are where we are. And something about Emergence is that I want you guys to kind of arm yourself with this money, skills, and as many resources and connections and collaborate with each other, communicate with each eye, use the tools and the resources out there that don't have to cost $1 million to really deepen your understanding and follow the things you're most passionate and curious about within the industry or not. But I think this podcast, I want you guys to continue to keep that light and energy and liveliness within yourself because if anything, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's like what we do is super important and our energy and excitement translates to our clients, and how we interact with them trickles down into how they go out in their day. And it seems cheesy, but it really is. It's like they come to see us and it's like a ripple effect. They come in a bad mood, maybe they leave in a even better mood and then they affect the people around them. And it's sometimes hard to with all of this stuff going on in the world, but you can make an impact within your community and within your client base and within your circle and support each other and help each other. And there's a lot of fear right now, but I think that, utilizing each other and helping each other to be better and questioning each other and, just having that desire and kind of fire within you to keep exploring, to keep pushing, to keep remembering why you're doing this and to keep yourself alive and to keep that joy and light in yourself and figure out what lights that fire. It doesn't even have to be strength training, Pilates, yoga. Like that's an entity of who we are. But I think that we forget that we're all complex human beings with multiple dimensions and levels and layers. And that's what makes you, you. And the more you kind of lean into that and explore those things, the more kind of fire and energy you're going to have. And then you're going to bring it into the studio. And yeah. And no matter what happens, the more skill sets and the more armed you are with knowledge is power, the more diverse you're going to be and the more kind of outlets you have and people and sort of ways of integrating your knowledge into different sort of pockets, you're going to be fine because what we do is we're in the business of people, right? So if you think about where the world is going, yes, AI is coming or technology is coming and it's a scary time and I'm not pretending like I don't get kind of worried, but we're in the business of people and remember that relationships are super important and it's human and we are still human and humans need each other and that connection cannot be replaced. So, yeah, that's kind of where my brain has been this week. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and researching stuff, but I'm a little nerdy and weird there. And long story short, um, yeah, don't I think I just wanted to end this on a sort of a positive note because there's a lot of shit that's going on in the media right now. And I just wanted to remind you guys that we've got each other and that I want you guys to feel supported and that I know everybody is trying their hardest and we're going into kind of a busier season in our industry and to just kind of pat yourself on the back sometimes and make space and time to check in with yourself, take a breath and to just keep that fire and light within you because ultimately that's what's going to make you successful. And that curiosity and fire for learning. So, thanks for listening to me blab on. Have a great week. Bye.